In this video, we're going to go over connecting the LapRF 8-way to LiveTime and setting up the IP addresses and initial settings for a race. The first thing you're going to do is click on the red decoder icon up here in the top, and by default, red means it's not connected. I believe LapRF is the default. If not, just click the drop down and select it. By default, there will be no IP address here, and that's what we need to configure now. So we'll hop over to the LapRF and I'll show you what that looks like. So what you're going to do is go to the communication screen, go to ETH-IP, and I'm not sure what the default is, but make sure it's something like 192.168.1, and then that last number can be anything from 2 to 50. It doesn't matter, just pick a number, but make sure these first three numbers are the same. So 192.168.1, those have to match, and then this last fourth number can be anything from 2 to 50. You don't need to change the net mask or the gateway. And you just go down to settings and click Save Now, hit the red button again. You'll hear it beep twice and it's all good to go. So now back over in LiveTime, we're going to click on Network Connections, and I'm using an Ethernet adapter, a USB Ethernet adapter, and what you'll do is you'll find it on this screen. You'll see I have my Wi-Fi over here, and this is my Ethernet adapter. I'm going to right-click, Properties, go to Internet Protocol version 4. By default, this is set to obtain an IP address automatically, which is what you want if you're on a network with a router. But in this case, we're just trying to communicate with the device directly. So we need to set the IP address manually. And so we're going to type in 192.168.1.1. Now, don't get this confused with the IP address we set on the LapRF. This is going to be the IP address for the computer. And then the LapRF has its own IP address, which we set to 1.2. By default, the net mask is the same, and you'll notice on the LapRF it was the same. And then the gateway, this can be anything, but we're going to set it to 1.1 as well. And then the DNS server can be blank because we're not connecting to the internet. You're going to hit OK. And then to double check you got everything right before we go into LiveTime again, go to command prompt and do ping 192.168.1.2. And remember, that's the IP address we gave or we set on the LapRF itself. And so if it says reply from, bytes 32, that means it's communicating with the LapRF just fine. If it says destination host unreachable or something like that, that means that there's a issue and it's not connecting, and you need to double check the settings we just did. So once you've done all that, come back to LiveTime, go down to the IP address box, and we're going to type in the LapRF IP that we set originally, and that's 192.168.1.2. And as soon as you do that, LiveTime tries to connect and it turns green. You can go to the communication tab to double check that it's getting status records. It sends these every 2 seconds or so, and that's how you know it's communicating. When you get a passing record, which my Wi-Fi is doing for us automatically, you'll see the video frequency and the signal strength here. And to double check the settings, by default it should be set to 25 and 0. And what you'll do is just select those, do adjust gain, and it automatically sets everything over here on the right for us. And by default, this works pretty good. I don't really ever have to change it. If you need to bump up the sensitivity, you can just do the plus, and basically all that does is set over here everything to 60. If you're running like 200, it's going to knock the gain way down to like 46. But most races are 25, and the default is pretty good. If you need to adjust channels individually, you can do that. Just click on gain. for that channel, and it'll set it. You don't need to click save. When you do it, it does it automatically. And I don't ever use the reset, shutdown buttons either. It can cause weird issues sometimes on the LapRF side. So really just changing these saves it in real time, and that's all you need to do. I usually use 6 channels, so I just disable the 7 and 8 channel. If you have issues and you think maybe the LapRF's not working right, you can always disable one of the nodes and use it down here. These don't have to be in any specific order as long as the channels are set properly. In another video, I'll show you how to set the event video frequencies, and once you do that, you can click this button and it'll automatically assign the frequencies for the LapRF to this page. Or you can do it manually, it doesn't really matter. If you're always using the same 6 or 8 channels, it'll save it, so you don't have to do this every time. And that's it for the initial setup. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, or reach out to me directly. I'd be happy to help.